Almost there. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to the BAMP podcast. We're live streaming to you on YouTube because Facebook hates us so much. Um,
Facebook killed my dog.
Facebook. And today, oh, wait, list I forget. Contractually obligated brand music. Hey, we have 2 viewers already. Hey, folks, say hi in the comments. Love to hear any questions or thoughts you have about Moon Knight, which is what we're talking about. You guys watched it. I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, but I don't care. Spoil me like I am a rich man's only son. Tell me what you guys thought.
I'll let Jacob start because I'm not. I'll let him start.
Right. Man, Andrew's got that radio voice. I like it. All right. Jacob, what are your thoughts, sir?
All right. For the most part, in general, I enjoyed the series. There have been so many different iterations of Moon Knight over the decades of his existence that I imagine it was difficult finding which version they wanted to use in this. And for what we got, it was entertaining. It was enjoyable. Again, there are some of the usual problems that came about with it. The villain is once again me with the it's same as a hero in that the villain has the same abilities effectively as the hero. They were an avatar, just like Moon Knight's an avatar, and so they're pretty much doing the same thing there. It's something that I wish they would stray away from, but when talking about Moon Knight villains, much like when we were discussing the Iron Fist series, they are very few and far between. So finding a good villain to carry the series, I imagine, was a little difficult. But in general, it was entertaining. I liked it because I'm a sucker for Egyptian mythology. It is one of the things I loved. It is one of the things that has inspired my own art and a lot of my own fantasy games and superhero games. You'll find a lot of Egyptian representation in the Superpowered Legends series. So getting to see a lot of Egyptian mythology in this, take it or leave it, how close it is to the actual Egyptian mythology, it was still fun. So in that regard, it was generally a fun and entertaining series to watch.
Cool. What's with the big reveal in the finale, right? That new Egyptian female superhero. Was that a cool thing?
I liked that, and I loved her costume. Hey, you wince. That is the kind of Egyptian costume I would honestly design and create myself.
More power to you, bro.
It has that fun aesthetic to it, and I enjoyed it.
That's funny. I like that picture. All right, I liked it the first episode. I still kind of liked it the second episode. And by the third episode, I found myself doing other things while it was playing. I would try and keep my attention on it, and I would get really bored. It was boring. It was not interesting to me. I'm a bad geek in the sense that there's 2 things I could care less about, is dinosaurs and Egypt. They're like, I don't care. Indiana Jones and Brendan Fraser's The Mummy gave me all the Egypt I'll ever need, plus Boris Karloff as the Mummy originally. That's all the Egypt I ever needed. And this sort of fetishization of Egyptian mythos it doesn't bother me, but it just doesn't click for me. It doesn't connect for me. I think Moon Knight is a phenomenally interesting character. Had we started a few years earlier in his story before they tied the whole Khufu thing in and explained and explored that brings up. When you start reading Moon Knight, they're not split personalities. They're identities he puts on to do various things that he can do to do his crime investigation, because he was a bad Batman ripoff at the time when they created him, right? And then slowly but surely that turned into mental illness, and then that turned into the Egypt thing, and then from there it all went. I would have loved to seen a series that explored that progression as opposed to, hey, there's a great big mystery going on and there's these cool blackout moments which were really, really cool, and then we're going to do a couple episodes all about his girlfriend, and then we're going to do and then the asylum stuff. It was like, it just, the entire Disney Plus Marvel run has been very, very miss for me, except for one hit, which was Hawkeye. And I think I'm very much in the minority on that one because I really liked Hawkeye, where everyone else seems to have hated it. But
I loved Hawkeye.
Oh, thank God.
That was Hawkeye. Hawkeye has been one of the better series so far.
I keep seeing it on YouTube, people rating it as their lowest one of all the series. And I'm like, really? Because Loki was kind of like garbage, like we should be looking at how bad that Loki series was. That's the failed potential. Moon Knight didn't have potential for me going in. It was something new, it was something interesting. My own fault. Maybe I was expecting something on the level of Netflix's Daredevil, something grittier, something more grounded, and something a little less woo-woo, and it went full woo-woo. And what are you gonna do?
I think one of the reasons why people may have shat all over Hawkeye in that regard is he's not a superhero. He doesn't have superpowers. And guess what? He doesn't need to. Frankly, I love a lot of the lower powered heroes in the series because getting to see how specialized humans live in a world with literal gods and still make a name for themselves is always fascinating as a story and a character to me.
So here's
which
a
is
question.
why I loved Hawkeye.
Here's a question for you. Speaking of gods in the Marvel Universe. Okay. I missed out on the part until I read it years later in one of their summation books. I think it was in a Marvels or something, that the Norse gods were actually celestials. They were a host of celestials who showed up and pretended to be Norse and Olympian and all that. Are the Egyptian gods in the Marvel Universe part of that gang as well? Were they celestials that took on these godlike identities, or are they meant to be actual gods?
By that, do you mean in the cinematic universe or
in Marvel
comics?
In general? Because obviously the movies are going to do what they want to do, but I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, that I can't tell you because. I think to the comics they are supposed to be magic mythological gods that evolved as the newest iteration of gods after the old gods went and screwed everything up.
Okay.
How they tie into the Celestials, capital T, capital C, I'm not really sure. Because I tend not to care about the Marvel Universe when you get towards that high-end cosmic space wonky stuff, because that level of power scale, what are we dealing with here? What's the point?
Okay.
You're literally dealing with things that don't think like people. And the whole point of superhero shows and comics is showing people at their best, even when the worst things are happening. That's what makes them
for you
heroes.
But that's for you. That's what you like, because Kirby would disagree with you. Kirby was into all the woo-woo crazy cosmic stuff, hence the fourth world, the new gods, all this stuff, right?
Yes, but I don't like Kirby.
But again, so this brings us back to the for you part. I'm not a huge Kirby fan either, but I have to accept and understand the complete imprint he has left on comics. And I do admire that he was a fan of professional wrestling, so a lot of what he did was that. But if we're going to talk about Moon Knight, we have to acknowledge the God stuff. And we're going to talk about the God stuff, then we have to acknowledge how Marvel sees gods. And slowly but surely, over the course of their existence, they've moved away from the mythological religious to making them divine cosmic beings, celestials, who are pretending to be mythological creatures. And I have no idea what they're doing in the cinematic or the visual universe, because how did these Egyptian gods relate to the Asgardians? Yeah. We're apparently going to be seeing Olympians coming up in the new Thor movie. From what we're seeing in the trailers, it looks like he goes to Olympus. So how is that all going to tie together? These are the kinds of things that we're not going to need to know, but would like to know. I haven't seen Doctor Strange yet. Have you guys seen the new Doctor Strange yet?
No.
70-something% fresh. Everyone I know who's seen it has liked it.
Cool.
If you're a fan of Sam Raimi, they say it's like a Sam Raimi horror movie. So I don't know how that fits in with the MCU big hero vibe.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out. So I got a feeling Wanda does a heel turn if we're talking about wrestling. So
I predict she's going to do a heel turn and then a face revival. That's what she's going to do. She's going to do the flip halfway through the movie or towards the third act.
they might. I don't know. I want to speculate, but it'll be over.
But we're talking about Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
Okay, Moon Knight. Okay, my review of Moon Knight was meh. One word review, meh.
I was really hoping for the Warren Ellis Moon Knight. The guy who shows up in the suit and he's working as a detective, solving weird mysteries. And every once in a while he puts on the tights to fight vampires or werewolves or terrorists. But having said that, they had some cool scenes with him fighting weird Egyptian mummy werewolf things. And they had, I'm such a mark for this kind of bullshit. They had people fighting on rooftops under moonlight.
Yes.
And I don't get enough of that in superhero media, so I was happy about that.
That's true. The fights were good. The ones they showed us.
Yeah, the frantic quick cuts, blackout scene in the first episode or two. I was loving that. The bit, you know what? I'm realizing as I get older, I'm a lot less of a demanding audience member. Like with Star Wars, I have lots of friends. Walter Billiard, everyone knows him. He's just sworn off Star Wars, not going to do it anymore. And I understand all of his reasons, but I look at Star Wars as toy commercials.
Mm-hmm.
As a child of the 80s, I spent many hours watching toy commercials. And I think that's the secret to Star Wars, is accepting that you're probably watching a toy commercial, but maybe you get lucky and this one won't be. And so try to enjoy the cool moments for what they are and not hope for too much. Like Mandalorian Season 1, kind of, hey, we're not going to tell you the old stories. We're not trying too hard to, revive anything. It's just we're going to tell a cool Western. Anyway, so yeah, I can understand the criticisms of Moon Knight, but I just had a good time with it.
And that's what matters at the end of the day. Did you have a good time? If you had a good time, if you enjoyed what you were watching, then that's a success.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what matters. There's an old adage I learned from a movie critic I used to know who said, review the movie you saw, not the movie you wish you saw. Yeah, and that's a very important thing. So if you liked it, that's great. If I didn't like it, that's acceptable as well. But I really am curious to see how they're going to make this all fit into the larger MCU now.
Yeah, my issue with their introduction of the gods is that they've established that the Asgardians are godlike aliens, much like the new gods of DC. So figuring out how these work with that ideology is something they really need to focus in on.
I'd say for me, the one thing that they did in the show that I just was like, why? The one avatar that was interesting was the female avatar that came to talk to him after the initial confrontation with Harrow in the pyramid meeting room and all that stuff. And then they just throw away her death when Harrow comes in the final episode. You know? It was like...
again, showcasing needing to showcase the power of the title character. These were the more powerful gods of the Egyptian pantheon in the seat of their power, and yet they couldn't beat this one guy.
Yeah,
who was holding an artifact of his god. He wasn't even an avatar yet.
No, exactly.
He hadn't been invested as an avatar. And they couldn't beat him? I call BS on that. Other than lazy writing, needing to showcase the hero of the title hero, being the hero of the series.
But this is exactly the problem with the show for me. It's the lazy writing. You have the situation of Stephen. Nothing drove me more insane was every time that Mark needed to take control and Steven would fight him for the control of the situation in these obviously deadly, insane situations. So his character acts like a child who refuses to hand over the remote control. And then what do? They do the exact same thing with the wife whose name I'm spacing when Layla, when Khufu asks, offers her to be the avatar to save the world in this moment. And her petulance kicks in. No, never for you. No. And then we get her as an avatar for the hippo goddess, which is fine and well and dandy. But the point is that this emotional response that they show is indicative of a lot of the writing we're seeing now in a lot of shows and movies of people not acting like adults, characters never making the hard choice or making the hard decision and going, you know what? It's against what I believe, but I have to do the right thing, aka heroic behavior. Instead, they act like petulant children and they say, no, I'm not doing it. No. It's infuriating to watch because it's like, come on, can we stop?
Well,
can you imagine Clark Kent doing that?
No. You got a room full of dudes with, masters of fine arts degrees, right in the characters, how they would react.
This is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But,
don't get me started on modern Star Trek, please.
So apparently Layla's character was supposed to be an established Marvel character.
Is she?
She's supposed to be the Scarlet Scarab. That is an established Egyptian superhero that I am aware of.
Yeah, well, I'll believe you. I'll take your word for it. Greatest moment in Moon Knight comic history ever is when he was being voted whether he was going to get to stay in the Avengers or not while he was waiting for information to come in. And he has this whole inner monologue going while Black Widow and the rest are all giving him grief. And then they turn around to tell him, look, we're not going to kick you out. And his Avengers membership card is on fire on the table. Because he got the message he needed. That's the Moon Knight I want. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I remember that exact scene. Because Captain America had been writing him hard for 3 or 4 issues. That sounds so homoerotic. Sorry about that. But yeah, he just, last page of the comic was his card right there, front and center, splash page, burning. But, so, you know what? It's a weird world where we're getting a Moon Knight TV show. If you'd told me, 15 years ago this was going to happen, I would have been like, no, you're crazy.
It was supposed to happen at Netflix. I remember they were talking about it at Netflix. Had Defenders been a bigger success and had Iron Fist not tanked as hard as it did, and I guess if Disney Plus had never become a thing, it was supposed to happen there. Apparently.
Yeah. Back when Netflix had all the shows, there were parts of this show that reminded me of a Netflix show where some of the writing, you're just like, oh, they're just filling minutes, aren't they? They need so many episodes of so many minutes per episode, so they're just,
Get your brain around this. Imagine these same writers trying to write a 26-episode TV series per season. They can do it. They can't do it. They don't have the writing skill to do 10 consecutive episodes with keep you hooked for 10. You pick any season of Star Trek Next Generation after the second season, and you can find a dozen episodes that are solid, quality, top shelf episodes, and then a bunch of filler. But they could do those 12 episodes. The Disney Plus stuff, the new Netflix stuff, they can't do 10 solid episodes anymore. They're just not capable.
I thought Hawkeye was pretty good, but that was...
It had its slow moments.
Yeah.
It had moments where you were like going, really? And then, they introduce Ivana Belova and the show just becomes even more magical at that point in time because she's just, what's her name? Pugh? Is that her name? The actress? That's Pugh, isn't it? Isn't her
Florence Pugh, Colleen Pugh.
Something like that. She's
Jacob
amazing.
D. Yeah.
She's amazing. And why on earth do we need Black Widow? Scarlett Johansson, you're done with the Marvel Universe. Move on because we've got your replacement. And she's more entertaining than you are to watch on screen.
Florence Pugh. In fairness, that might be the one replacement, for the main cast of the MCU who is a lot more charismatic than the previous. I don't know who's going to take. I don't know.
Is Oscar Isaac's going to show up in Avengers? Are we going to see him in the movies now? Is Moonlight going to transfer over? How do you put a guy who's 5'2" beside Chris Hemsworth and have him look intimidating? Right? Are we going to do the Tom Cruise?
Put him on
a box. Exactly. We're going to be doing risers. I mean,
Robert Downey Jr. is not a tall man.
True.
Well,
fair.
from what
Chris
from
Evans
what I can
is.
see. From what I can see, they're starting to transition away from the original lineup of heroes, and now they're going into the second tier and third generation heroes. Like they're starting to build up the existence of Young Avengers and the Marvel United crowd, the younger generation who are now really big names in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, yay for that, because we're familiar with the old characters, and I'm happy they've had their movies. But considering they've established in the Marvel universe for the cinematic universe that they are willing to take risks and move along with the plot, and they freaking destroyed Asgard for crying out loud. So they're willing to do things that the comics aren't willing to do. And because the comics are always retconning, we'll destroy this thing, but within a year or two, we bring it right back to where it was. That way, everyone's familiar with the baseline.
I had Dan
Abnett on Spider-Man.
Yeah. I had Dan Abnett on a few years ago. Love you, Dan. Please come back. And we were talking about what was happened in Nova recently, and I was like, "How many times are you going to blow up the Nova Corps' HQ planet? What's up with that, man?" And he goes, "It's just part of the series at this point. Just the way it gets blown up every 18 months. It's just something you got to do when you're writing the series."
Oh, yeah. But this is the thing, right? Once we fall into these formulaic tropes, we're going to run into trouble. And that's what I fear is going to happen to the MCU, is because the first generation of writers are gone now. So you're not going to get that level of wow anymore. You're going to have newer writers coming in that are now going to have way more corporate control and producer control over them, with less freedom to do things that are going to be creative and interesting.
And you can't have Joss Whedon do punch-ups anymore.
God.
Yeah. Look, you know what? Maybe it's okay, because honestly, we got a good Captain America movie. We got multiple
Winter
Captain
Soldier.
America movies.
We got a couple of good Captain America movies.
We got a couple of Iron Man movies.
The first one and the second one were amazing Captain America movies.
The second one and Civil War were amazing Captain America movies. You're right. Yes, I don't know about First Avenger.
I'm just saying.
I have a weakness for First Avenger because it was the same director as The Rocketeer,
which is a great movie.
And I think he does excellent Golden Age stuff.
You know what? Rocketeer is an amazing movie. I'm waiting for a good Thor movie. Hopefully, this one will be it. I'm looking forward to that.
My threshold, my bar for Thor was low, and he got over it, so I'm okay. I understand people's problems with it completely, but it's a Thor movie I could watch and not hate it. And
I saw the first Thor movie for free. I was going to see another movie, saw the thing, asked the girl at the counter, said, "What's going on?" She said, "Thor." I said, "Oh, you selling tickets?" She goes, "No." But she goes, "Do you want mine?" And I said, "What, you got a free one?" She goes, "Yeah." And she gave me a free ticket. And after the movie, I thought about going and asking for my money back. It was a bad film.
It has its flaws. I will say I enjoy it, and I can watch it with my 9-year-old kid, and he loves it. So,
Well, there you go, right?
Yeah.
So if that's a successful audience, that's good for them.
Yeah, it is. I don't know where they're going next. I get worried because some of the movies like Shang-Chi, which was fun, but I don't see where they go from here with that character. And I like the movie, but I don't really, not really like, hey, what happens next? The Celestials kind of felt like it was written in a series of Post-it notes on a whiteboard.
The Eternals.
And I don't
Eternals.
The Eternals. Okay.
Yeah.
The Eternals should have been a 12-episode Disney Plus series. Each episode, we have the first episode that introduces the problem, what's going on, and then we have a series of episodes showing the backstory of each character until we get to the last 2 episodes where we climax everything. People would have lost their fucking minds for that. But instead, we got a garbage movie that just was and stole the best part of Earth X and half-assed it. The celestial egg inside the Earth, and that's why Galactus eats planets. What a great, sorry, spoiler for like a 20-year-old Marvel alternate universe series, people. But it was the best, one of the best ideas in Earth X, and they just pissed it away.
So that's sometimes I wonder what's happening to the MCU. But you know what? We had a decade of good superhero movies, and it didn't ever think that was going to happen.
That's true.
Maybe that's okay. We had 15 years of good gangster movies, and they stopped for a while, and then they came. You see, go every now and again. We had 20 or 30 years of decent westerns, and those kind of went away. And you get a decent one every now and again, and maybe superheroes the same way. We got
we had the 80s for amazing action films.
We did.
Yeah.
And maybe these things are cyclical. Something else can be next, and we can
I miss the crazy, crappy 90s superhero movies. I miss Albert Pune's Captain America. I miss that kind of cheese. It was so much fun because the one thing they weren't doing was taking themselves seriously. They were having fun. Darkman is one of the best, funnest superhero movies ever made. And that's Sam Raimi. Just saying.
It is Sam Raimi. He's a good director.
Mr. Spider-Man.
So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see where they go, and if Marvel kind of fades away for a while and they have to reboot things down the road, that's fine. It's
Marvel. I'm confident has at least another 5 years of production before they even start thinking about slowing things down. As long as their movies keep bringing money, they'll still make them.
Oh yeah,
Fantastic Four. Whenever they get around to doing an FF movie for real, that'll be the litmus test of their survivability. If it's big, Marvel will keep going. If it flops, Marvel's done.
I really want to see it done as a period piece, but I don't know if that works these days.
They won't do that.
No.
After Wonder Woman 84 hurt so bad and did such a bad job, they're going to stay away from period pieces for a while, I think.
Yeah, there's some period pieces that work.
Mm-hmm.
Golden Age superheroes that have to be set in World War II, or I guess World War One in the case of Wonder Woman. What the fuck was that about?
That was trying not to look like they were aping Captain America.
Yeah,
don't do that. Always don't worry about what the other people are doing.
No, but that's the problem with the DC films is they do worry too much about what the other people are doing, and that's their downfall. Yes. Except for, I have to say, the Suicide Squad and the Peacekeeper TV shows were just fucking amazing things, like just batshit crazy. More of that, DC. Go down that road deeper. Yeah. I'm fun with that. The new Batman, I haven't even seen it yet. I have no interest to see it. I don't care. I don't need another Batman movie.
I do. I need to see that origin story a few more times. I need to see those pearls hit Crime Alley a couple more times before I feel satisfied.
Did you ever see Comic Book Girl 19's whole thing where she explained how pearl necklaces are made and how much it pisses her off to see that happen in a film because it's an indication that it was a cheap, shitty knockoff pearl necklace and not actually a rich person's necklace? And I'm like,
Andrew,
wow.
We had this conversation 5 years ago.
Did we?
Yes, we did.
No!
We did.
There we go.
We're old. That's crazy.
All
right.
That was about the last time there was a Batman movie and pearls hit the floor.
Yeah, fair enough.
There you go. That's a new song by Rage Against the Machine. Let the pearls hit the floor. There we go, man. I'm in.
All right. I got more jokes to make, but they're bad. So I think we should end the podcast here. It's been.
Are there any other kind, Mike?
It's all in the delivery, dude.
That is 100% true, and that sums up my view on Moon Knight right there. Perfect.
So yes, Moon Knight. Some of us enjoyed it, some of us did not. Make your own opinion. Watch it yourself. Make your own opinion.
And if you didn't like Hawkeye, you're wrong. So yeah, there we are.
That I agree with.
Yeah,
I love the street level stuff. So all right, thanks for checking us out. We will see you next time on the BAM
Contractually
Podcast.
Obligated music.
Oh wait. Okay, hang on. Sorry. Thank you, Jacob.
If you enjoy content like this, please support the BAM Patreon. We also have T-shirts available on Teespring.
Yes, you can find our pinned tweet under BAM Podcast on Twitter, and you can buy our stuff. We need more money, please, folks. You don't understand. All right,
indie publishing.
Maybe we'll get some green screens and put some stuff up.
Sock puppets. Green screen sock. I actually have green screen sock puppets.
Okay. When we do the sock puppet episode, please invite me. I want to be here for that. I want to just be doing this in a camera happily.
I have numerous puppets from which I can draw upon, and I have numerous voices from all my years of GMing and wanting to be a cartoon voice actor as a child that I can draw upon. So I'm here for the puppet episode. I
have socks and buttons. I can make it happen. That's all I'm saying.
This should be our Doctor Strange review.
Multiverse of Madness from the sock multiverse. I love it.
Well, there's infinite multiverses, so anything you can imagine probably exists somewhere out there in the
Fair
All right,
play.
folks. Thanks for checking out the BAM podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thank you all.